Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Flames raced through a home in Cumberland County, killing a 5-year-old boy and injuring 2 others. We're live on the scene with Gilbert Bays and what family members told him about the tragedy.
We're already seeing the rain back to our west. That slides in here overnight tonight. I'll show you when to expect it and how it will affect you where you are.
And investigators have recovered 2 data boxes from the scene of that deadly plane crash in Japan. But the search for additional clues to the tragedy continues. How experts hope to unravel the cause of the crash.
We begin this afternoon with such a sad story out of Cumberland County. A 5-year-old is dead and 2 others are hurt after an early morning fire. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey. Thanks for joining us. This was the scene from Sky 5 at the home on Murphy Road. Firefighters say when they arrived on scene, smoke and fire was pouring from that home. WRAL's Fayetteville reporter Gilbert Bays is live at the scene after talking with family members about what happened. Gilbert, such a tragedy.
Yeah, Michelle, just a sad situation out here. When I got out here, I saw some of the family members here across the street from the home. You can see it back here right now. They were hugging each other in tears at the devastating news that one of their 5-year-old young child had died in the home. Let's show you video from Sky 5. It shows some of the smoke billowing from the home here on Murphy Road. We're just outside of Eastover here in Cumberland County. Firefighters from several stations responded about 9:30 this morning, and we're told it took them about 40 minutes to get the fire under control. Now, family members tell me that the fire was accidental, that the 5-year-old was using some type of cooking machine in the kitchen area when it caught fire and the flames went out of control. Firefighters had a difficult time locating that 5-year-old boy inside the building.
It took a while to find the victims. The first ones, when we arrived on scene, an adult was carrying the infant out. And Cape Fear Valley's QRV, the medic unit, was on scene at the same time. So they were handling the medical side of it.
Now, we're told the 4-month-old infant was flown to UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill, and her grandmother was taken to Cape Fear Valley Medical Center. The 5-year-old boy pronounced dead here at the scene. We're also told that a firefighter suffered a minor injury, some burns to his face while battling the blaze. He, too, taken to the hospital to be checked out. Now, again, the initial indication is that this is an accidental fire, but we have the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office arson team out here also, Michelle. They're conducting a death investigation, which is standard when you have someone who's killed in a house fire.
Oh, Gilbert Bays live for us this afternoon. Thanks, Gilbert.
And this just into the WRAL Live Center. The Cary man accused of threatening to shoot children is not competent to move forward with this case. This is a story we've been following for quite some time. Take a look at the man we're talking about. This is Kevin Douglas. He was arrested back in November after authorities say he sent several threatening messages. Following his arrest at a Cary hotel, Douglas was sent to a federal facility to undergo a mental health screening. Those results are now in. Doctors determined Douglas suffers from schizophrenia. A judge ordered Douglas to undergo 4 months of treatment. He's not due back in court again until April. Of course, this is a story we will continue to follow and keep you updated.
Rain will creep into our area tonight from the southeast. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at who is most likely to see that rain tonight. Elizabeth.
We can already see it here on the map. This is going to come up from the Gulf of Mexico and swing just off to the south and east of the Triangle area. It looks pretty potent right now, but it is likely to swing a little farther to our south. So looking at a 30 to 40% chance, that's going to be how much of our viewing area sees it. So from the Triangle area south and east is where we'll see that rain. It's going to pick up around 9 or 10 o'clock and end at around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So a lot of folks may sleep right through it. It does not look like it's going to continue to hang around during the morning commute. By around 10 o'clock, you can see some light patchy rain from Durham down toward Fayetteville and Clinton. We'll see that lifting a little bit farther north by midnight, all the way up toward Rocky Mount and even Roanoke Rapids. But then by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, it moves out. By the time we get to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, we should be back to some sunshine. So this will not affect the morning commute tomorrow. We look ahead to Saturday. That's going to be be our next rainfall event. We're looking at the potential for some light freezing rain early in the morning as the rain moves in our northwest counties. That's likely to be the only spot by the time the rain arrives that it'll still be cold enough. It does not look like snow, but anybody north of I-85 could see a light glaze. It doesn't look like it will be enough to cause any problems on the roads or to cause power outages. And warm air will surge northward with the rain. We're looking at 1 inch to 1.5 inches of rain with the system. It will be an all-day chilly rain with a high of 50 degrees, but we're not looking at any major impacts. There's one more in the 7-day forecast on Tuesday. I'll show you what that could bring us coming up.
Police in Enfield are asking the public for help after an 81-year-old man was killed by a stray bullet just as he sat down for dinner. William Neville was one of 2 men shot at the Carriage House Apartments in Halifax County Monday night. Police say Neville just sat down on his sofa to eat when a bullet pierced the wall and hit him. The second man was shot outside the building. He was treated at a medical facility and released.
Today, we'll get an update on the rise of respiratory illnesses in North Carolina when the state releases new numbers. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey reports on what we can expect today as hospitals work to keep visitors, patients, and staff safe.
As those hospitalizations are going up, hospital officials are taking action. Starting today, new visitor restrictions will be in place for all Duke hospitals across the Triangle. The state will release new COVID, flu, and RSV data in a few hours. Duke Health saw a 112% increase in flu cases across its hospitals. That's just in the past 2 weeks. COVID cases also rose by 8% with 41 patients. In the past week, UNC hospitals saw a 73% increase in COVID cases. RSV cases also went up by 50%. And of course, students are headed back to school this week. Here's Duke Health infectious disease specialist Dr. Cameron Wolf's advice for parents.
Kids are not very good necessarily at telling us, especially elementary school or primary school age kids, about their symptoms. So be prepared to be observant about how your son and daughter is symptomatically feeling.
And Dr. Wolf says if your child is displaying any cold or flu-like symptoms, it's best to keep them at home instead of sending them off to school. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News in Raleigh.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, law enforcement agencies and first responders from right here in the Triangle and all across the state are preparing to escort the body of slain Greensboro police officer Philip Dale Nix back to Greensboro. This is a video from that scene when he was shot a couple of days ago. He is a long and respected member of the Greensboro Police Department. He's been part of that department for 23 years. First responders here in the Triangle have been preparing for this memorial wide since about 6 o'clock this morning. I want to bring you back here live to the WRAL Live Center and show you this alert that we got from Raleigh Police, who will be, many of the officers from Raleigh PD will be part of that escort, taking that body back to Greensboro. According to Raleigh PD, they will be assisting starting around 1 o'clock this afternoon. It'll start at the District Drive building, then go over to Blue Ridge, over to Wade Avenue, and then Interstate 40 West. That's within the Raleigh jurisdiction. And then after that, the procession will continue to Greensboro. Coming up at 12:30, Sky 5 will be over that memorial ride as it prepares to take Sergeant Nix back to his home in Greensboro. We'll be there and let you know what's happening here in the WRAL Live Center.
Federal officials say that they are going to open several ports of entry at the southern border, citing a dip in illegal crossings. It comes as a group of Republican lawmakers are set to visit Eagle Pass, Texas today. Texas Governor Greg Abbott has sent nearly 100,000 migrants on chartered buses and planes to cities nationwide without notice. Many state leaders say something has to be done to stop the flow of migrants. Right now, a bipartisan group of senators is working on border security legislation, but it is tied to funding to Ukraine and Israel. Starting today, vendors can no longer sell their goods on bridges in New York. The city says the pedestrian walkway on the Brooklyn Bridge has become overcrowded with vendors, tourists, and city commuters, creating a dangerous public safety issue. The new rule was aimed at easing overcrowding on that popular tourist landmark.
Investigators returned to the scene of that tragic airplane collision in Tokyo in search of clues. Police conducted on-site inspections at Haneda Airport this morning. Dozens of officers were spotted checking the crash site and taking pictures. NBC's Janice Mackey-Freyer is in Tokyo, where safety board members plan to begin analyzing the data from 2 recorders.
Investigators are combing through the crash site at Haneda Airport, which is just behind me. On-ground collisions between aircraft are very rare, so they're trying to determine exactly what happened. Japan Airlines put out a statement saying that Flight 516 from Sapporo was given clearance to land at Haneda. But then the surveillance cameras at the airport showed that when the plane did touch down, it appeared to hit something on the runway and then burst into flames, eventually skidding all the way down to the end of the runway to a stop, engulfed in flames. Inside, the cabin was filling with smoke, filling with panic. All 379 people on board, passengers and crew, were safely evacuated. They jumped out of the plane through black smoke, through sparks, through fire. Some are calling it a miracle. It is a tragedy, though, for Japan's Coast Guard. Why the Coast Guard's much smaller Dash 8 aircraft was on the same runway as the jumbo jet still isn't clear. 5 of the 6 crew members were killed. Only the pilot survived. The crew was going to be flying aid to the western part of Japan that had been hit by earthquakes on New Year's Day. Investigators with the Transportation Safety Board here say they will consider everything from mechanical issues to miscommunication to human error. NBC News has learned that they have recovered the flight and voice recorders from one of the aircraft, but they're still looking for the black boxes from the other plane.
And that was Janice Mackey-Freyer reporting. The accident has had major impact on New Year holiday travel in Japan as people returning from their trips peaked on January 3rd. More than 100 domestic flights were canceled today, affecting over 20,000 people.
Let's take a look at how stocks are moving this noon, just the second day of trading this year. And you can see the Dow Jones Industrial Average has spent the entire morning in the red and down 233 points right now this noon. S&P 500 also down 30 points, and the NASDAQ down 144 points right now. All the major indices are in negative territory. Next at noon, the next GOP debate is in Iowa next week, and it'll be a much smaller field. Who qualified, who didn't, and who is skipping it again.
Also, it's nearly 5 months since the wildfires in Maui. The hard choice is being made between allowing tourists back and protecting the area as locals recover.
Plus, a petition and protest to keep a Buc-ee's store from coming to Mebane. Will it be enough to keep it from being built?
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
CNN will host the next GOP debate a week from today in Iowa, and it looks like only 2 candidates will appear on the stage. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. Neither Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, nor Asa Hutchinson qualified through polling to be included. In order to be invited, a candidate must receive at least 10% in 3 separate national and/or Iowa polls of Republican caucus goers or primary voters that meet CNN standards for reporting. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump will again skip the debate and attend a Fox News town hall event the same night.
President Biden's camp has announced 2 campaign stops that will highlight the contrast between him and former President Trump. On Saturday, the president is scheduled to travel to Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, to give remarks on the 3rd anniversary of the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. Biden will speak near a site where a group of militias gathered to form a coalition to fight for democracy and where George Washington established headquarters during the Revolutionary War. On Monday, Biden is scheduled to visit Mother Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, where 9 people were fatally shot by a white supremacist in 2015.
A federal judge dismissed a wrongful death claim against former President Donald Trump and 2 men accused of assaulting U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick during the Capitol riot. Despite dismissing the wrongful death claim, the judge will allow the lawsuit to proceed. The judge ruled Sicknick's longtime partner lacked standing to bring claims against Trump and the defendants. One of the men admitted to spraying Sicknick with a chemical irritant during the riot and pleaded guilty to 2 counts of assaulting officers in 2022. The other admitted to purchasing the spray and pleaded guilty to 2 lesser misdemeanor counts.
Former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows wants the federal appeals court to reconsider its decision not to move the Georgia election interference criminal case to federal court. Moving the case to federal court could allow Meadows to get the charges dismissed altogether by invoking federal immunity. Last month, the Court of Appeals unanimously ruled that his alleged conduct was not related to his official duties in the Trump administration. The former U.S. representative from North Carolina has pleaded not guilty. Lawyers for the former Kentucky county clerk who refused to issue marriage licenses to gay people plan to appeal a major fine. A federal judge ordered Kim Davis to pay more than $360,000 to David Ermold and David Moore. In 2015, Davis said that she would not issue them a marriage license because of her religious rights. Her lawyers say they are prepared to take the matter all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court.
It's been nearly 5 months since the devastating fire in Maui. That wildfire killed 100 people and wiped out an estimated 3,000 homes and apartments in Lahaina. As the recovery effort continues in Maui, hard choices are being made about the balance between welcoming back much-needed tourist revenue and protecting the rights of locals in the local environment. Tanya Powers reports.
We are here now and we're not going anywhere.
It's a new year, but folks in Hawaii are still struggling with the same problem: how to reopen Maui and bring in much needed tourism revenue without disrupting the recovery process for thousands of locals still struggling with basic issues like housing, employment, and education.
We fought to not open tourism at 2 months because we weren't ready. We still don't have our education, our schools figured out. A lot of our kids are going up to school above the burn zone.
The wildfires that burned through the island back in August killed at least 100 people and destroyed thousands of structures, many in the historic town of Lahaina. Under pressure from business owners, West Maui was reopened to tourism back in November. But just 2 weeks ago, Hawaii's governor admitted there are still plenty of displaced people, and his new budget proposal includes significant funding for housing.
On Maui right now, if we had 3,000 more houses available, we would not be in nearly the dire straits that we are. We wouldn't have to be rushing to convert short-term rentals to long-term rentals.
Ultimately, Hawaii residents say it's a balancing act. They acknowledge their economy relies heavily on tourism, but say more needs to be done to protect locals and keep Hawaiian traditions alive.
It keeps me connected to the land. It keeps me connected to my place in the world.
That was Tanya Powers reporting. FEMA announced another $4 million in funding last month. Back here locally, we have sunshine in much of the Triangle right now. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. That will change soon enough.
We're already beginning to see it change a little bit. You can see a little bit of high, thin cloud cover here as you take a look at the sky over Chapel Hill. And we're starting to see that everywhere. So that's the beginning of this system that's going to come through and bring us some rain overnight tonight. Some of us might sleep through it, like me. It's probably going to come and go right during the time that I'm asleep. But it may begin while some folks are still awake this evening. 52 is our current temperature. We're looking at temperatures climbing on up into the mid-50s this afternoon, and then the clouds will really start to thicken up once we get closer to sunset. Check temperatures across the area: 51 in Southern Pines, 51 Fayetteville, it's 52 in Goldsboro, still some 40s up to the north, 46 in Roxborough, 47 in South Hill. But generally, we're warmer than we were yesterday by about 2 to 5 or 6 degrees. It's not a big jump, but a little bit of a jump. We're looking at mid-50s this afternoon: 54 Raleigh, 53 Durham, 55 in Fayetteville, and it'll be nice and dry until much later on. We'll take another look at where the rain is right now. This is a Gulf Coast system. It will track right along the coast of Florida and then really right along the coast of North Carolina and South Carolina. So it's headed off to the north and east, spreading some rain, looking like it's spreading a little bit of wintry precipitation up there into parts of Tennessee. But we won't see any of that here. It will be too warm for that. Let's take another look at Futurecast, and you can see the gray skies by 5 o'clock, some light patchy rain between, say, 8 and 10 p.m. that starts to move into our southern counties. We continue to see the light rain through midnight, and then by the time we get to 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, it all moves out. We're talking about 1/4 of an inch or less. It's likely to be less in the Triangle, and maybe around 1/4 of an inch from Clinton to Goldsboro up toward Rocky Mount. 32 degrees is our normal low, but overnight tonight we're going to keep it above freezing. We do drop back into the 20s for Friday and Saturday morning, and Saturday morning that will be significant, as we talked about at the beginning of the newscast. We're looking at 51 on Thursday, 49 on Friday, but then we'll start to see that rain rolling in early Saturday morning. And in some places, temperatures could be in the upper 20s to around 30, especially up near the Virginia line. Now, it will be a warm afternoon, so as that precipitation gets going, it's going to warm the atmosphere, and we'll see a high of around 50 degrees. But we are looking at the potential for some light freezing rain in our northwest counties north of I-85. No impact expected. This is not going to cause any problems on bridges or roads. It's not going to cause power outages. It will be a cold rain across the area, though. So it's going to be an unpleasant day on Saturday. So 54 today, 51 Thursday, looking at 50 Saturday. Sunday will be a retrievable day if you want to get outside, 53. And then on Tuesday, it's warmer, but it's also going to be one of those all-day soakers. We're going to take a look at the timeline and the amount of rain that we may see for Tuesday coming up.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Every 40 seconds, someone in the United States has a stroke. Did you know that falling temperatures can also increase your risk? Today at 4, 5 on your side shares how you can what you can do to fend off a stroke this winter.
And we're also working to learn more about what's leading to overcrowding at the Wake County Animal Center and why the shelter is no longer taking owner surrenders. The next steps for the shelter tonight at 6. Still ahead this noon, first Americans cut the cord. Now it appears more customers are canceling their streaming services. A look at the numbers straight ahead.
And lots of people make resolutions to get fit in the new year. Can exercise snacks help you reach your fitness goals? It's not what you think. We'll explain later in our newscast.
A Taco Bell favorite is coming to supermarkets, and a recall of thousands of pounds of ground beef is underway. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
Nearly 7,000 pounds of ground beef is being recalled due to concerns over E. coli. The beef was produced by Valley Meats on December 22nd and shipped to distributors throughout the Midwest. The recalled products have the establishment number 5712. That number can be found inside the USDA's inspection mark on the packaging. No cases of illnesses have been reported, and consumers are advised to dispose of the beef or return it to the place of purchase. Americans are canceling more of their streaming services as subscription prices rise. Nearly 25% of subscribers to the major services canceled at least 3 of those subscriptions over the past 2 years. Now, that's up from about 15% just a couple of years ago, according to analytics company Antenna. And the percentage of customers leaving premium services hit 6.3% in November. It was 5.1% a year earlier. The Wall Street Journal says all this has streamers working with rivals to offer bundled deals and other incentives to attract and hang on to customers. Taco Bell favorite is coming to grocery stores. Mountain Dew's Baja Blast will be available in stores nationwide for the entire year. The drink has been a staple at Taco Bell for nearly 2 decades, and it's only been available as a seasonal product in stores in the past. Mountain Dew's parent PepsiCo says putting it on store shelves for all of 2024 is a way to mark Baja Blast's 20-year run at Taco Bell. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ Market Site.
Only about half of American credit card customers think they can pay off their December debt in full this month. The average interest rate has reached 21%, the highest point recorded in nearly 3 decades. For those who may not be able to pay off their December debt, experts recommend credit card counseling or transferring some of your balance onto a 0 annual percentage rate card. Starbucks customers can now use their own cups for nearly all orders. It's part of an effort to shift away from single-use plastics. Previously, the reusable cup option was only available for orders made in person. In the drive-thru line, customers just have to tell the barista they have their own mug when they order. The cup will then be collected at the pickup window using a contactless vessel. On the app, customers can use the new personal cup option.
Divided over development. Today, some people in the Mebane community are raising opposition to plans to build a Buc-ee's off I-40. What's at the center of their objection?
Plus, a simple fingerprint test could potentially save lives and money. How the test could replace costly mammograms. And as we head to break, here's your winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
This could be the site of North Carolina's first Buc-ee's location, but some locals in Alamance County are not happy about it. WRAL covered the controversial proposal for the mega gas station at the Planning Commission there last month. And WRAL's Monica Casey is there right now. Monica, what is next in all of this?
Well, Michelle, right now, Mebane community members are over here getting ready to bring a petition into City Hall with signatures against that proposed Buc-ee's development. City Council has a meeting next Monday, January 8th, with a public hearing scheduled to discuss that development. Those who are against it say it will deplete resources here with concerns over water, sewage, and road capacity. They also have concerns about quality of life with air, light, and noise pollution. And they argue Buc-ee's will not draw visitors downtown to local small businesses.
So there's some major concerns around the quality of life and the increase of traffic that this development would bring here. And there's already a lot of traffic going through this area anyway, with people commuting back and forth to the Triangle for work and out of the Triangle for work.
Now, this is a 32-acre plot of land up for discussion. Buc-ee's has proposed a 75,000 square foot facility with 600 parking spots and 120 gas pumps, a large development there. Those who are in favor of the development say it will bring more jobs to this area. Michelle?
All right, Monica Casey, live in Alamance County. Thanks, Monica.
A short time ago, local business leaders got an idea about what to expect out of Raleigh's economy this year. You could call it a mixed bag. The Launch 2024 event, hosted by the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce, took place at the Martin Marietta Center for the Performing Arts, and it was emceed by WRAL's Matt Tallhelm. WRAL's Shelley Jackson joins us live right now with the overall message coming out of it. Shelley?
Well, Jeff, it's like you said, it's a mixed bag. There's going to be some slow growth, but inflation should be coming down. One economist said that this is a good time to look back at 2023. She said the theme for last year would be resilience, but this year the outlook is a little less rosy for 2024. Inflation has come down, but not yet at the Fed's 2% goal. Signs of weakening, decrease in temporary workers, part-time work is growing faster, average weekly hours are coming down. Nationally, job growth is expected to slow, and in many areas, the Raleigh metro area outperforms the national average, and that includes job growth.
So we've seen a pickup in job growth more recently, still slower than what we were looking at this time last year, but a more even picture when it comes to the mix of industries adding jobs, including some of the bedrock industries of the region like professional and business services.
So the overall message is slower job growth, but we should see some of those interest rates start to come down as inflation drops as well. Jeff?
And Shelley Jackson live in Raleigh right now. Hopefully Raleigh keeping up with the rest of the country, certainly. Thank you.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we want to take you right to these live pictures coming in courtesy of Sky 5. There you see law enforcement agencies from here in the Triangle and all across the state. They're gathering to escort the body of slain Greensboro Police Sergeant Philip Dale Nix back to Greensboro. You see a strong contingent of law enforcement officers there at the medical examiner's office there in Raleigh. That's where the procession will begin in less than a half hour. This procession will take Raleigh Police and other law enforcement agencies from the Triangle onto Blue Ridge Road, then Wade Avenue, and then I-40 West all the way to Greensboro, where the Greensboro and other law enforcement agencies will pick up that procession. Of course, Officer Nix was shot and killed while trying to stop a robbery at a Sheetz location in Greensboro. Also, Governor Cooper ordering all state and U.S. flags lowered to half staff until sunset today in honor of Sergeant Nix. Again, you're looking at live pictures as law enforcement agencies get ready for that memorial ride. Look for new reporting on this starting at 4 right here on WRAL.
Noisy neighbors and businesses in Raleigh will soon have to pay higher fines. City Council approved the citywide changes yesterday. The new noise ordinance allows police to determine whether a noise is too loud based on what a reasonable person would consider disruptive. In the past, they had to measure the decibel levels. First-time violations go from $100 to $250. The new changes take effect February 3rd.
Starting today, a section of a Raleigh Greenway trail will be closed for more than 2 weeks. The closure is along the Neuse River Trail. Part of a sewer pipe in the area will be repaired. It'll be closed until January 19th. And Durham City Council unanimously approved 2 big items on the consent agenda during a meeting last night. They approved a 3-year contract with Housing for New Hope to help combat homelessness in Durham, and they voted to approve additional lead testing for area parks. This after high levels of lead were found in some areas.
It's time to throw away your Christmas tree in Cumberland County. Parks and Recs will collect Christmas trees from Fayetteville residents January 8th through the 12th. You will need to have your tree by the curb by this Sunday. All the lights, ornaments, and stands have to be removed. If you live outside the city, you can drop off trees at the Fayetteville Community Garden to be recycled. If you live in the city of Raleigh, you can leave your tree curbside on your yard waste collection day, and the crews will come and pick it up. They'll turn it into mulch for landscaping. The service runs through February 12th to give you ample time to toss your tree.
Coming up, if getting fit is on your list this year, you might want to try exercise snacking. We'll explain how this new trend is helping people stick with their workouts longer.
And keeping your health in check with the swipe of a fingertip, the new technology that could help detect breast cancer, no mammogram needed. If you see news happening or you'd like to share a story idea with us, click Report It in the WRAL News app.
And just into the WRAL Live Center, just as we promised, the new numbers on the number of flu, RSV, and COVID cases in our state so far. Let's go right to the dashboard, courtesy of the Department of Health and Human Services. Overall, there's a 22% increase in the number of respiratory cases showing up at the emergency rooms. That's the purple graph you see right there. I want to bring attention to the 3 graphs right here. The blue graph is the COVID cases that you see an increase right there. The green graph is the influenza cases, flu cases, you see a slight decline. And sort of the yellow graph is the RSV cases. It's sort of remaining unchanged. But if you go right and get down into the numbers a little bit more, you can see more people are being hospitalized for the flu as opposed to COVID over the last week or so. These numbers are constantly updated. And of course, we will keep you updated and really break down these numbers for you in our news starting at 4 o'clock.
All right, thank you, Ken. A new non-invasive screening test could help diagnose breast cancer, potentially saving many lives. It's a simple fingerprint test that is examined for certain proteins. Researchers in England say that fingerprints contain sweat, which is then tested using a system called mass spectrometry, which identifies its molecular makeup. All patients have to do is swipe their fingertip on a metal support, which a technician then examines.
The patients come and take this simple, painless, non-invasive test. And if they are clean, if they don't have the pathology, they are spared from undertaking mammograms or biopsies. They, of course, are very invasive tests, and they carry a lot of other drawbacks.
And that professor has conducted forensic research for nearly 15 years, but has recently crossed over into medical diagnostics using sweat.
If you're trying to get fit in 2024, you might want to try exercise snacks. Now, you might think this means trying a new smoothie or protein bar, but the term actually refers to doing short bursts of intense activity throughout the day. An exercise snack is typically a high-intensity activity that lasts around 1 or 2 minutes. It can be anything from climbing stairs to jumping jacks. While more research is needed to see the overall health benefits of exercise snacking, it can be a good reminder to get up and move throughout the day.
It is really hard, I think, for some people just to stop what they're doing to, go do any form of exercise. So it should be kind of some part of your schedule or some part of your calendar throughout the day to making sure that you are stopping what you're doing or making the intention to go do some form of movement or exercise.
It's also important to warm up before and cool down after any exercise, physical activity. Be sure to talk with your healthcare provider if you're unsure about workout plans.
Coming up, artificial intelligence. It's here to stay. What some tech experts say we can expect to see in the new year.
And the new year got off to a disappointing start for some would-be time travelers. Why their hopes of celebrating the arrival of 2024 twice hit a bit of turbulence.
Last year, artificial intelligence proved it can write essays, generate images, even help us communicate with robots. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Kevin Uretsky examines where AI and humanoid robot developments could be heading this year.
Developments in artificial intelligence and robot software took 2023 by storm. And throughout the new year, technology experts say these innovations are only expected to improve, especially when it comes to the accuracy of the responses AI programs generate. Brendan Englot of the Stevens Institute of Technology believes there will also be a greater push to advance the language skills of robots using AI.
I think in 2024, we're really going to see that evolving, and we're going to see increasing robotics capabilities that involve human language and conversational instructions provided by human operators,
as well as refine a robot's coordination and ability to perform more complex tasks.
Does AI allow robots to walk or manipulate or move with more dexterity or agility? That is kind of a frontier we have not fully conquered yet. I would say that lies ahead for 2024.
Engineering company Aptronic is currently working on its Apollo robot. The humanoid is designed to move boxes and stack supplies for large retailers and manufacturers. Given a recent report from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which finds there are millions of open jobs and not enough unemployed people to fill them, officials say it's critical robot technology forges on this year to help fill worker gaps in warehouses and factories.
Especially with the infrastructure bills that the U.S. is pushing forwards over the next couple of years, the demand for blue-collar labor is going to do nothing but increase over time.
That was Kevin Uretsky reporting. I don't know if I'd ever get used to seeing a robot just walking around.
It's kind of scary stuff. Are they taking over?
Scary. Yeah, a little scary.
Thank goodness robots cannot do science like Elizabeth Gardner
cannot.
Can do it, right? Take a look outside of the sunshine. Very nice.
I don't know, y'all. None of us are safe. For sure.
They're coming.
Ooh, all right. It is beautiful out there right now, but we're starting to see some high, thin cloud cover. We talked about that at the beginning of the newscast, and you can see that in Apex. You can see how the sky is looking a little bit more gray. I mean, there's plenty of sunshine burning through these clouds right now. A little bit breezy there in Goldsboro. Boy, that camera is shaking. Chapel Hill also seeing some high, thin clouds as we take a look from Top of the Hill restaurant. So those clouds will continue to thicken up. Once we get towards sunset, it's probably going to be pretty much overcast. The system right here coming out of the Gulf of Mexico is going to swing up to the northeast, kind of brush past North Carolina and move on out to sea. But it is already sending some cloud cover our way, and we'll see some rain from that overnight. System number 2 of 3 is starting to move on shore here in California. That will cross the country and bring some significant snowfall and wintry precipitation and rain all the way up to North Carolina and into the northeast. And that's our Saturday system. Let's talk more about today's system. Cloudy skies by around 5 o'clock. There's 5 p.m. on Futurecast. By the time we get to 8 or 9 o'clock, we're beginning to see a little bit of light patchy rain from the Triangle area southward. That rain stretches fairly far north by midnight, but it's very light, and then it gradually moves offshore. And by 4 o'clock, or moves out, and gradually it's out of here by the time we get to the morning commute. So it's not something you'll have to worry about as you're traveling to work or school tomorrow. Over the weekend, we're looking at the potential for some wintry weather in the mountains in the western part of the state. What we'll see here is some light freezing rain possibly in our northwestern counties. So we're talking about Person County or anybody who's north and west of I-85. As I mentioned, some travel issues across the country. This light freezing rain is not going to cause us any problems. We're not looking at travel issues here. We're not going to see freezing conditions on the roads. We won't see power outages. It may begin as rain there at about 5 a.m. A little bit of wraparound colder air, again, north of Durham, could change this over to some light freezing rain for an hour or so. And then we continue to see that warmth surging northward. We're going to see a high of 50 on Saturday. So we're not going to see cold temperatures hanging around. But the rain hangs around. That's 10 p.m. So we're looking at pretty much an all-day rain on Saturday. How about that chance of snow with the system? Yeah, in the mountains. Look at that. 99% chance in Boone of at least an inch of snow. Probably going to be more than that. And then that travels up the mountains and then on into New England. But it is not for our area. Futurecast takes a look at Tuesday, too. Now, this is interesting. We would take a look at Tuesday. Very briefly, for a minute, we see that little blue that pops up near the Virginia line. It's way too early to, decide that we're going to see any snow on Tuesday. But it does look like we'll see heavy rain. For Saturday and Tuesday together, we could see 3 to 4 inches of rain. So once we see that system coming through on Tuesday, it's possible that we would see some flooding along with it. We are going to see a high of 60 degrees, so it will be a warm and wet day.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Teacher of the Week time now. And this week's teacher's parents both were teachers, but she never thought she'd do it. WRAL's Brian Schrader goes to a unique school in Cumberland County to meet a teacher who loves leaving it all on the stage.
C sharp, C sharp. Hold it up. After earning 2 degrees in music performance, Alex Williams took a sales job right out of college, but she felt a pull to the classroom.
Long right down. Good, Ziona. I took an interview and took that job, and now this is my 7th year teaching. And I actually had a conversation with someone here at the end of the year last year. I'm like, I can't imagine where I would be if I hadn't started this 7 years ago. Up and down on A.
Williams teaches pre-K through 3rd grade violin and 4th and 5th grade orchestra here at Eastover Central Elementary School of the Arts. It's a unique school that combines academics with a rich arts education.
We have a music teacher, a theater teacher, strings, art. We have all of those people in the building. We get to collaborate and work together to make really cool experiences for our students.
All the way back up. There you go. Good.
Williams says arts education helps unlock so many possibilities in these students' lives.
They might not be a strong reader. They may never make all A's. They may never do that, but they can be successful in an arts classroom.
Clap our hands for Ms. Williams, huh? In Eastover, I'm Brian Schrader, WRAL News.
Yes, let's clap our hands. The art's so important. If you'd like to nominate a teacher, go to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
You only live once, but one airline offered passengers the chance to celebrate the same new year twice. Why they missed their opportunity to travel back in time.
And as we head to break, here's a look at last night's winning Mega Millions numbers on your screen right now.
As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today. A 5-year-old is dead and 2 others are hurt after an early fire. This was the scene from Sky 5 at the home on Murphy Road. Firefighters say when they arrived on scene, they saw smoke and fire pouring from the building. Family members tell WRAL the 5-year-old was using a cooking appliance, which caught fire.
A man from Cary accused of threatening to shoot children is not competent to move forward with his case. Following his arrest at a Cary hotel, Kevin Douglas was sent to a federal facility to undergo a mental health screening. Those results are now in, and doctors determined Douglas suffers from schizophrenia.
In the last 30 minutes, Mebane community members delivered a petition to City Council with signatures against that proposed Buc-ee's development. Those who are against the development say it will deplete resources with concerns over water, sewage, and road capacity. Buc-ee's has proposed a 75,000 square foot facility with 600 parking spots and 120 gas pumps. Passengers on a United Airlines flight were hoping to travel back in time for the new year.